Yesterday, Kefir released this video, which has a lot of you guys confused because it does not have any footage of any of Kefir games and it has no words to explain what's going on. So if you watch this video to the end, I will explain everything you need to know. In the beginning of the video, you see that the point of this video is that Kefir is doing a workshop with Markomancer. In fact, it is their fourth workshop, but a lot of you don't know who Markomancer is, so let me explain to you a few things. Mark does not work for Kefir, but rather he is a professional artist that does tutorials on how to do graphics and CGI on various games. Mark has done work for several Amazon original series, and as mentioned in the title of the video, he has already done 3 workshops for Kefir to help the Kefir art department with creating better graphics for their game. Now, when I'm thinking about doing several workshops, I'm thinking about doing a workshop this year and then maybe the next year and then another one the next year. But based on looking at Mark's Facebook page, it looks like they're doing a workshop every few days. And it's pretty cool to see what they're working on. And the most fascinating thing about this video is by looking into some of the pictures that Mark is posting, it gives us insight into what Kefir is doing next. For those of you who have not watched my main channel videos that have uncovered Kefir's other projects that they've been working on, Kefir has done a ton of things. They originally made Last Day on Earth, which exploded, but since then they have come up with a ton of different similar games of different genres. They've come up with Frostborn, which is a Norse mythology. They have Westland Survival, which is Western. They've got Grimsoul Survival, which is like, they call it dark mythology. I don't even know what the type of mythology is, but it's got its own storyline in it. They've got Jurassic Survival. They have a bunch of these different games. And what it looks like from Mark's pictures is they are working on a new Egyptian-based Last Day on Earth. You can see from these pictures from the second day of the workshop that they've got the pyramids and they've got, you know, here's all the Kefir employees. Then as we scroll up to 2 days ago, you see the Kefir art team, and you get to see them all working on these different projects. Mark's specialty is teaching people how to create things that normally game developers aren't able to put in a game. There's different, I don't know if it's depth of field. I saw some of his tutorials, a lot of it's in Russian, some of it's in English. It looks like he is able to create things that a lot of developers would think that are impossible, but he is able to show them how to be able to put it into the game. So this is all the Kefir employees looking and learning from him. Here he is giving coaching tips to one of the Kefir employees. And it seems like the theme is not only an Egyptian-based Last Day on Earth, but it is centered around the city of Necrotis, which is famous for being a Greek outpost near ancient Egypt. And this is not like when the Greeks were in their heyday and Alexander the Great. This is back when Egypt was in their heyday and they were conquering the world. Ancient Greece, like the Mycenaean Greek, like before any of the more famous Greek, they had a colony there. And it was where the Egyptians and the Greeks would trade a lot of their art and all of these things. It was a very rich cultural city, awesome historical background. And so I'm really curious to see what they're doing, because each game that Kefir makes, whether it was, you know, Last Day on Earth was the first, but then they made, you know, Grimsoul and then Frostborn, they get into deeper mythologies, they get into more impressive storylines. And so the fact that a lot of their art that Mark's working on them is centered around the city of Necrotis, it gets me really excited to see what are they planning to do with this. Are there going to be Greeks and Egyptians? Is it going to be set in a time that is not just Egyptian mythology, but there's also like Greek mythology, and there's, I don't know, they could do a lot in that time period? Or is it going to be more of a historical game? Maybe they'll forgo the route they've been taking where they go on mythologies and they actually try to create a game that's set in that historical time when Necrotis was so famous. I'm not exactly sure, but looking at the art that he is working on with Kefir, here's the city of Necrotis right here. It looks pretty cool, you know, and they're not just creating some fun pictures, right? They're also creating Unity rendering. He's showing them how to create a city. And let's see, I really like this GIF right here. This kind of building the city together, kind of from nothing. You got the pyramids in the back, and you've got the eagle. I don't know if that eagle is going to be, they're going to take from Frostborn, where you can kind of scout with the eagle. I'm not exactly sure what they're planning on doing with this. Obviously, Kefir has not released anything about this new game or what it would look like, but it definitely seems like they're doing something with the ancient Egypt look. And now some people might say, oh, they're just gonna work on the concepts of Egypt and then they're gonna apply that to one of the other games. That could be true. They could take this ancient city and look at the art there and then go make something for Frostborn with the Norse mythology. But that doesn't seem to be Kefir's way. They like to create new games, new concepts, and introduce those so that we have a whole new genre to play on. And then they can keep advancing that way, and they can make money on each of those games. So I think that's what Kefir's doing, and honestly, I get excited. I know that a lot of you want them to just keep focusing on Last Day on Earth, but to me, I want them to be able to do what they want to do, as long as they do end up coming up with an amazing game that is worthy of their intellectual property that they've come up with, then I'm totally cool with it. I just want them to really develop it. It seems like they're putting a lot of work into it. Getting Mark's tutorials online are pretty inexpensive, but having him come and tutor and do these workshops is definitely showing that Kefir is wanting to keep advancing, wanting to keep developing this intellectual property, which again, I think that points to what I've been saying about Kefir all along. They're really wanting to develop their intellectual property and create some amazing game. It's taken them a long time, and we don't know how much is happening behind the scenes, but they're doing their thing and they're just giving us the things that they want to give us. Again, I'm excited about this. I know some of you guys won't be, but I think it's cool. So I think it's cool what they're doing. But on a side note, one of Mark's specialties is actually working with a lot of sci-fi stuff. He's got his lightsabers, he's got like some really cool walkers. You can see from some of his pictures that he does a lot of sci-fi stuff. And personally, Kefir, I think that a futuristic, like space-themed Last Day on Earth sounds pretty awesome. And I know you've already got a lot of projects, but if you're hiring more employees to do another project and you're thinking about what is that next genre gonna be, I just think a really cool space theme would be pretty epic. So let that be my vote if you're looking at branching out. Obviously, I'm excited about you developing what you've already done. I really like Frostborn. I want to see Last Day on Earth get as advanced as Frostborn, and I want to see all of these games get into their complete stages, because I think they're going to be a lot of fun. Well, that's it, guys. Hope you liked that explanation of who Mark is and how he's related to Kefir. He does not work for Kefir, but he does live in St. Petersburg, which is where Kefir's second headquarters is. All right, guys. I'll see you next time.